The translation motion means the particles are moving along the direction of the object. Each particle in an object which is moving in a rotational motion, that is, which is rotating, each and every particle will have different velocity at same interval of times. And you know, mass is a constant. When mass is constant, mass is taken outside. It is not differentiated because mass is always constant. Okay. Hello everyone, I am Brinda, Faculty of Physics, welcoming you all to the Chapter 7, that is System of Particles and Rotational Motion, Session 1. So in today's class, we are just giving the introduction, that is, we are starting with the first class of this Chapter 7. So here, what is meant by a rigid body? The one which is having a definite shape. So what is that rigid body? Rigid body is the one which is having a definite shape. So when it comes to a definite shape, there is certain particles which is within that definite shape. So those particles act along the direction of motion. So here we have got the particles in this rigid body undergo certain motion along with the object. Okay, so there are two types of motion. They are translational motion and rotational motion. So here we have got two types of motion of an object, that is translational motion and rotational motion. These are the motion of the particles which is inside the object, that is, which is confined within the object. So we have to check what are the motion of the particles, how the particles move. On giving like how the particles move, we can say that whether the object is undergoing translatory motion or it is undergoing rotational motion. So now let us see what is meant by translational motion. So here the translation motion means the particles are moving along the direction of the object, wherein the velocity of each and every particles which is present in an object will be the same at same interval of time. So suppose just consider an inclined plane and a box is just moving downwards from the inclined plane of A, B and C. This is the angle of inclination. Suppose a box is sliding down. It is sliding. So what happens to the particles which is present over here? Suppose this is P1, this particle is P2. Each and every particles which is confined within the object will be having the same velocity at same interval of time. So each and every particles within the object is moving at same interval of time. So that is all about the particles. So now here there are examples for translation motion, that is whatever you can see in your surrounding, an army troop marching. Okay, so every person, if you consider this as your particle 1, particle 2, particle 3, so each and every particles are having same velocity with same interval of time. So that is known as translational motion. Similarly, if you consider a car which is moving in a straight track, that is a straight road. So you can see a car is moving. So the particles associated with the car, that is confined to the car, that is the object, it is moving with same velocity at same interval of time. Now let us move to rotational motion. So we are clear with translational motion. Now it is rotational motion. So here in this case, it's a contrary to that, that is motion of particles aren't same, that is each and every particles are having different velocity at same interval of time. So suppose you're considering again an inclined plane, you consider a wheel wherein one point will be fixed. Okay, so it keeps moving. So point of contact will be one point. Okay, so here whatever particles are present over here, each particles will have different velocity. If this is P1, P2, P3, each particle in an object which is moving in a rotational motion, that is which is rotating, each and every particle will have different velocity at same interval of time. So that is all about your rotational motion. So here in this rotation is along the fixed axis of rotation. So there is a fixed axis and the object rotates with one end is fixed. So example can be potter's wheel. So this is a fixed end and the object is rotating. Such kind of a motion is called as rotational motion. Now let us see, in rotational motion itself, we have to give a term as precession. So what is that precession? What is meant by precession? See, the change in orientation of the axis. Which axis? It is a rotational axis of what kind of a body? The one which is rotating. So change in orientation of the rotational axis of the rotating body is said to be the precession. So suppose this is your axis, that is y-axis. Let this be your x-axis. Okay, so usually the rotation is taken place in this way, wherein this is your fixed axis. This point is said to be fixed. Okay, the point here is said to be fixed and the rotation orientation, that is rotational axis, is this, but there is a change in orientation which is said to be the line which I have given over here. The orientation changes, correct? So example for the precession can be given as spinning of the top. It is a simple example wherein you can understand what is meant by precession. Now let us move to the center of mass. So what can you understand by a topic that is center of mass? That is, each and every mass of a body is concentrated at the center. That is meant by the center of mass. So the definition is like the point at which the whole of the mass of the body or all the masses of the system of particles are concentrated at that point. Such a point is said to be center of mass. That is, the whole either the system of particles or the whole of the mass of an object is concentrated at certain point, and that certain point is said to be your center of mass. So that is said to be a center of mass. Suppose now you consider you have got axis, x-axis, y-axis, and there are particles which is rotating. So rotational motion, the particle is rotating. So when the particles rotate, each and every particle rotate in such a way that it is perpendicular to this axis and center lies on this axis itself. Okay, so if this is the object, the particles is undergoing rotational motion. So it is undergoing rotational motion. So the particles, whatever is present here, it is always perpendicular to the axis as well as the center. Its center, that is, it makes a rotatory motion like this, and this will be the center, and the center lies along the axis. So that is all about your rotational motion. Now when you consider center of mass, the centers, so here we are considering two objects of mass m1 and m2, which is at a distance from the origin. So let the distance be x1 and x2 from the origin, and these two particles lie on the x-axis. It lies on the horizontal axis, that is the x-axis. So the center of mass of the system are also situated in x-axis because the center of the particles is always in the axis. So here, since I'm considering my x-axis, so here it is like the center of the mass is situated at the mass of the system is situated at the C, which is at distance x. The distance is termed as capital letter X from origin, that is O. So suppose this is the origin. If this is your y-axis, y dash and x dash, and this is said to be the origin. From origin, particle 1 is having mass 1 and it is at distance of x1. Particle, the center one, that is, it is center of mass, it is at a distance x. It also can be called as just x. And from origin, the particle 2, which is having mass m2, it is at a distance x2. So this is the initial condition in order to check the center of mass of the system. Now we have the equation given as x is equal to m1 x1 plus m2 x2 divided by m1 plus m2. Suppose the masses are equal, the mass of two particles are equal, that is m1 is equal to m2, both are equal to mass, that is m. It is x is equal to m x1 plus x2, I am taking common out, divided by 2m. So m cancels with m, so we have got x is equal to x1 plus x2 divided by 2. So this equation, so if this is equation 1, this is equation 2. Equation 2 implies that the center of mass of two particles lies in a midway between two particles. So what does it tell? It lies between the midway because it's divided by 2. The center of mass of the particle, that is the system, lies in midway between 2. Now if you're considering, previously you considered just 2 particles, now you're considering similar n particles, that is one particle, 2 particle, 3 particle, it goes up till nth particle. If you're considering that, then you have, suppose we consider n particles with masses m1, m2 goes up till mn, then x can be written as m1 x1, m2 x2 goes up till mn xn divided by m1 plus m2 plus it goes up till mn. Okay, so now summing up of each and everything, we can give it in a single statement, that is a single term. Summation, you're summing up each and every term. We have already discussed, that is x is written as summation of I is equal to 1 to n. This is the variable. So where and all I can give my variable mi because I can keep changing. And another one is xi divided by mi. This is like I'm summing up all from first till the nth term. I'm summing up all the terms. Okay. So here I is the one which varies from 1 to n. I can keep replacing I as 1, 2, 3 in that manner. So this is said to be our equation. Now we can substitute summation I is equal to 1 to n mi as capital letter M. Okay. So now that can be rewritten as summation I is equal to 1 to n mi xi divided by m. So this can be the formula. Okay. So here this equation is given for the particles which is lying in the x-axis. Suppose we are not considering only the plane and we are considering the space. What happens to the equation? So it becomes, this is for x-axis and we have for y-axis a similar equation, that is mi yi divided by m, and we also have for the other axis, that is z-axis, as summation mi zi divided by m. So if you are not considering only for, now we are considering the particles are distributed in space, so that we'll get x-axis, y-axis as well as z-axis equation. And now if we just combine, that is if we just get into the position vectors of these particles, then it can go like, the position vector is represented as r for the particles. It's given as xi into I cap plus xy into j cap plus xz into k cap. This is the position for the position vector of the particles over here. Then for the center of mass, the position vector is represented by capital letter R, which can be given as xi cap, y into j cap plus z into k cap. So on the whole, we can give the equation, that is the final equation which we had considered for the space system of particles which are distributed in space. The same thing which can be taken here, and it can be given as the position vector of the center of mass is given as summation mi into ri. I is equal to 1 to n divided by m. So this is the position vector of the center of the mass which is distributed in space. Okay. So this is all about the equation of how to get the equation of the center of mass. I hope you're clear with this derivation. Now let us go to motion of center of mass. How exactly it is taking place. So now consider, we know that the center of mass for the particles which is distributed in space, it's given as, that is, the position vector we have to give, that is vector r is equal to summation mi ri divided by m. So this is the position vector. Let me consider it as equation 1 for this derivation. Now we have mass combines with the vector r, that is the position vector of the center of mass. So combining, we have got m r vector is equal to summation of mi and ri can be written as, that is summation of mi ri. This is I is a variable which can be written as m1 r1 plus m2 r2. It goes up till mn rn. Okay. Now it is like m and r. We have to differentiate. The above equation by dt, that is the time with respect to the time. So we have got m, it is a mass, and you know mass is a constant. When mass is constant, mass is taken outside. It is not differentiated because mass is always constant. Okay. So m into dr by dt, which is equal to, I can take up summation, I have split into different terms. So I can take it up as m1 into dr1 divided by dt plus m2 into dr2 divided by dt plus it goes up till mn into drn divided by dt. So this is the equation. Here it cancels out, comes to be capital letter V, because change in position with respect to time is always the velocity. Again, this changes out to be V1, here it is V2, and here it is Vn, like V3, V4, V5 till Vn. Now we can write it as mv is equal to m1 v1 plus m2 v2. It goes up till mn vn. Okay, so let me call this as equation 2 and this as equation 3. So we have got our equation 3. Having this equation 3, again we will have to differentiate with respect to time. mv, which is equal to m1 v1 plus m2 v2 plus goes up till mn vn. This was a equation 3 which I have rewritten again. So now it can be differentiated again. Differentiate with respect to time. It will be m, mass is a constant one. So dv by dt is equal to m1 dv1 by dt plus m2 dv2 divided by dt plus it goes up till mn, which can be told as dvn divided by dt. Change in velocity with respect to time is said to be the acceleration. So it can be a1, this can be a2 and this can be an, which can be written as ma, which is equal to m1 a1 plus m2 a2 goes up till mn an. So mass into acceleration. The mass into acceleration is nothing but a force. According to Newton's second law of motion, force is equal to mass into acceleration. So it can be written as m into a is equal to F. That is the force here. So it can be written as F1 vector plus F2 vector. It goes up till Fn vector. So the total mass of the system of particles times the acceleration is equal to the vector sum of each forces of the particles. The vector sum of each force which is applied to the particles. Okay, so now there are two kinds of forces which is acting on an object. Internal forces of the particles, that is this one, as well as external forces of the particles. There are two kinds of forces which acts on the object, that is internal and external. So internal particles are having certain force, but according to Newton's third law of motion, every action is having equal and opposite reaction. So when the magnitudes are equal, it gets cancelled out. So the only force which is acting now is the external force. It can be m into a is equal to F external. That is the external force which is acting on an object. So this is all about the motion of center of the mass. So in today's class, we had discussed regarding the rigid body and types of motion the particles of the rigid body undergo, that is translational motion and rotational motion. These are the two types. So we studied what exactly is translational motion and what is rotational motion. So how the motions are distinguished. Okay, then we went to the center of mass in order to check the equation of center of mass, and then we studied regarding the motion of center of mass. So in today's class, we have covered the introductory part of the chapter 7, that is system of particles and rotational motion. Let us all meet in the next session. Until then, have a good day.